Here we go. We're going to look at why Nyx might possibly come in 2025. It's possible. I made a video predicting what we might see in 2025. Prediction videos are a stupid thing to do, but at this point, I don't think I was like crazy to say this, but it's now looking more and more likely that I was wrong. So here's what I said at the start of the year.
Now, I've seen many people predict Nyx for 2025, and I unfortunately just don't see that. Now that we only have 5 systems coming into the released version of the game, 1.0, I think CIG will want to flesh out what you can actually do in each of them. Nyx has to have compelling reasons to visit. They can't just throw out a bare system. And a recent lawmakers question thing basically said this: many of the planets in our system had been described as desolate and depleted to align with development expectations at the time. However, our ability to populate worlds has progressed significantly since then. While we still will have barren worlds to trek across, many of the planets will become richer and more memorable experiences for players to explore.
I think for a lot of us, we thought that the Nyx planets were barren, there was nothing there, and that was one of the reasons why it could come in quite quickly. I expect, if this does come this year, I expect there to be much more on these Nyx planets than we might have expected.
And I think this one statement almost guarantees that Nyx isn't coming this year.
At the point that I made that video at the end of 2024, we hadn't had all the content coming out that we've seen so far in 2025. So we've obviously had the ASD locations have been a big change, Hathor as well, the worm, all the worm stuff. They've suddenly just gone into overdrive at making new gameplay locations and content. I think there's a decent chance that what I thought here is outdated information, and they have potentially been like hammering locations and small locations for these different planets, and yeah, we'll see.
The major gameplay feature for Nyx also is Vandal Rays. Now, I don't know about you, I'm fairly doubtful that CIG will want to even drop any Vandal content before Squadron 42. So far, they've really held back from showing us much. Ships that we know are finished and not in game. There's all sorts of stuff, and I just cannot see Nyx coming this year in any way.
So my point there was that they won't want to show us any Vandal stuff because, like the Idris, they're holding it back for Squadron. Well, we got the Idris this year anyway, and we got the Vandal anyway. So this trailer for the latest patch 4.3.1 just full on spoils a Vandal. Well, it spoils the whole mission chain, but it just has a full on Vandal in it.
Wow. This can't be.
Maybe they're gonna do this. They're gonna start showing Vandal ships at CitizenCon. So they put the character in game. There's Vandal stuff now in the game. I don't know if anybody in chat can answer me this. Why do people think this is going to be released at CitizenCon or IE? So this is the Stinger. I don't know. I've not followed along. Like, why are people thinking this is coming? Someone found the URL and it has a Stinger in it. There we go. That's what we need to hear. So that's why. So pledge store link for the Stinger and a com link as well. Okay, interesting. If this does end up coming out at CitizenCon, or there's a big look at Vandal ships, potentially the reason for that is because Nyx is going to feature some raids like they originally said. This was the next thing I saw. This was 9 hours ago. This I think is data mine from the latest PETU patch, maybe. A data mine for a dynamic event in Nyx. So the first Nyx dynamic event, just like the previous Pyro Gang related events, goes on through multiple phases, 6 right now. It involves multiple factions: good guys, People Alliance, Intersect Defense Solutions versus bad guys, Shattered Blade and Vandals. Okay, so maybe there is almost confirmation that the Vandal themselves will be in this dynamic event. Well, let's keep looking. So this is a video a few guys linked in chat from Jojo TV. He's got the actual phases. So these are in the way that we often have different phases for all the content in the game. There's different phases. All the dynamic events. There's phase 1, phase 2. This is looking like the phases for this dynamic mission that we just talked about. Is this related? I've not watched this video, so I'm just taking what you guys are saying. Vandal eliminated intro. Ah, interesting. Okay, you can sign up with the Vandal. I don't think you can do that. I don't know if they will play ball with you, but imagine we've got a Vandal mission viewer. Skippy has said some other things. So these are some bits that have been data mined as well. So these are stuff in, I guess, the current build. So we've got signs for Nyx here, and we've also got more stuff here. And then Skippy said this. A whole bunch of content was added, as far as I know, hidden in the game. It's probably leftovers from internal testing. They do a lot with locations that are a few months out. The XML files contain things like nav buoys, turrets, jump point structures, etc. So there's tons of bits and bobs and hints. There was this. So in the September monthly report, this was a hint. Facial animation progressed through new performances were captured in late August. These included characters that were present in multiple up-and-coming releases. The key bit, including a returning air traffic control voice. ATC, the returning air traffic control voice, can really only mean this guy. This guy, Eslin Macken, but that is the only guy it could really be. It can only really be him. There's no other air traffic control person that I can think of. To me, you don't put this in the monthly report unless you're trying to get people to think about this. As in that's there as a hint. That's another bit of evidence in some ways that it's sooner than we thought, maybe. There's no way in planet Earth that we get Nyx in 2025. I also felt like that for most of this year. I was going on podcasts. I was in my own videos. I was saying there's literally no chance. I think there's now a small chance. I think with all the other stuff that we're looking at, all of this stuff, I just think it starts to stack up that the logical conclusion of all this stuff is that actually it is Nyx, and Nyx is not as far away as we thought. We also had some guys earlier saying the posters for IEE. I guess this is a leak as well, but the whole gist of this is expand your universe. You could read that as they're going to expand the universe. The other thing that I think has shifted this year, it seems to me as though that thing that we wanted for so long, that whole thing where people come over they finish their work on Squadron and then they move over to Star Citizen. I think that potentially has happened. I think it hasn't happened from a feature point of view or from like engineers or anything like that. I think they're all still massively working on Squadron. But I think there's a shout to say that the environment teams, the guys who made all of this for Squadron and all this stuff, that this is the 2023 demo anyway as well. Let's find some more fun bits and locations. This sort of stuff, there's similarities between this and things like the ASD locations that we've seen. I thought Stormbreaker are reused assets, but they're not. They've had some work done on them to take them to where they are, to be fair. It's not like they just threw them in as they previously were seen. And even to be fair, the ASD locations are some of the underground facility stuff that they showed us from years ago. So yeah, to be fair, it is a chance that they've just spruced up some location assets that they already had ready, but they at least have spruced them up. And so when you see that the new ASD locations, and obviously there's this new cave bit that people are looking at with the Yormandi or whatever it's called, to me, Onyx, all the ASD stuff looks like Squadron's quality assets to me. And so I wouldn't be surprised if we actually have reached that inflection point that they used to talk about, not with engineers or not with like feature teams or anything like that, but maybe from an art point of view, maybe we're at the point where like these locations are done in Squadron. They may have moved to pumping out content for the PU, which potentially hints at the possibility that Nyx could actually come this year. I have a feeling that the reason they might be ready with Nyx is because they've got maybe many teams that they didn't have who were working on Squadron locations working now on the PU. So the other major reason to think it might be coming is because it looked so far along last year. If we look back at this basically looked finished. And grey box, if I get my kind of order correct, it goes something like pre-production, white box, grey box, final art. And so grey box, if it was in grey box last year, it's fairly far along. This is pretty much what I would describe as good enough to be in game. And if they spent a year doing any work on this, you just wouldn't be shocked if it was ready to go in game. All that I'm saying about, like, if we are expecting it to come in, all this, we're seeing leaks of all this stuff, how are they going to configure the mesh to get it in? How are they going to do how are they going to do it? So if we go to the Spectrum, let's delve into Spectrum. This has been the mesh configuration for a big chunk of the year. They've basically been doing this thing where they've had 7 servers in the Shard looking after Stanton, and they've had 3 servers in the Shard looking after Pyro. Partly because not many people are going into Pyro, but partly because they've put a load of content into Stanton. Are they going to increase the amount of servers per Shard? So we've obviously got 10 at the moment. So are they going to do more? 6-4-4, 5-3-4, 4-2-4. It's like football formations. 3-3-4, 4-4-4. I'd be tempted to do a 5-2-5. Nobody else has suggested that formation. I don't care, make it work. Well, yeah, I think a lot of people feel like that. This, though, is a question for if they are going to drop it, what are they going to do? This is the only tech question I can see. It's like, what is their mesh configuration going to be? Nyx could also test dynamic meshing. I think they're not ready for that, unfortunately. I think the way they spoke about dynamic meshing in the SCL with Benoit, I don't think it's going to be anywhere near ready for Nyx. If Nyx is coming as soon as I'm starting to think it will. Most people won't want to set their spawn in Pyro. So people are going to set their spawn as usual. If you're a cultured person like me, you might set your spawn at Hurston. You're then going to charge to the Stanton Pyro jump point. I said the Stanton Pyro jump point. Everybody on the Shard is going to charge into Pyro, and then they're going to fly to the, where is it? Pyro. Oh goodness, it's way out. Pyro. You need a big ship for this. Pyro Nyx. Here you go. Pyro Nyx jump point. They're going to charge through here, and they're going to end up in Nyx. My point was that at the very start, everybody will be coming to see this. You'd think they'll need to be able to hold maybe like 400 or 500 players coming to visit Nyx. That would be my guess. If everybody does travel through Pyro, then potentially you are going to need more. They might have to go 5-5-5. They might have to really increase it for the first release. Otherwise, it could be very messy. Very messy. My guess, and here's where you can help me in the chat. My guess is that we maybe get a 4 point. What are we going to get? We're going to get 4.2, which is going to be the October patch. That could come out this week at some point. We're then going to get a 4.3, maybe that will be the IE patch. Does that make sense? And then we'll get, I think, towards the end of the year, whether it goes live or is a PTU, I think we might be getting a 4.4 that just has Nyx in it. I just think that's possible in a way that I thought there was no way that was possible at the start of the year. I thought it was no chance, literally no chance. But that's what I feel like is going to happen.